Tune into this, folks. What do I mean by tune in? Am I treating you like you're some radio? Is there really that much relevance or relation between a biological entity and a piece of technology? Well, we are all built to receive, are we not? And I am utilizing a vibrational frequency created by my mind, transformed through a biological and chemical interface into airwaves which you are receiving through your ear canals, and then it's being transformed and rearranged, and now you're contemplating it within your mind. So, in a way, I am a highly advanced piece of technology. So what does this mean for us as we tune in? Well, can we really change the channel as to what it is that we're picking up or receiving? And in a lot of ways, you actually really can. It makes me ponder about all those stories you hear about mediums and channelers. Were they really onto something and connecting with something that the lay person couldn't necessarily connect to? It's almost like you have to be tuned into the right frequency on your radio to pick up and receive certain radio stations, do you not? So, in a sense, let's look at the universe as just one massive flow of energy, where there is a constant fluctuation of energy. And, no energy is ever lost. It's merely transformed. So, in a sense, the universe is all intelligence and all knowing. So, literally something which happens, however minute, somewhere, causes a reverberation effect throughout the universe due to the fact that no energy is ever lost. It's an equilibrium system. It's a balance and checks system. So, in a sense, if somebody was able to tune into this, then literally they could know all things, would they not? Because if they could tune into the universe itself, the universe being all-knowing, then in a sense, whoever could tune into this frequency themselves would be all-knowing. So, let's get down to earth just a little bit more. So, what does it really mean to channel something? It means that you yourself are aligning yourself with certain media. Now, when I look out across the nation and I say, this is an acting body of people which are acting as one. How is it that they are acting as one people, though they are spread over a vast distance? It's due to the fact that they're all channeling energy. They're all receiving news and information, which allows them to act as one entity. And they're all vibrating at the same frequency. And they're all channeling the same energy. They're all on the same channel, right? So in a sense, I could say, let's turn on your TV. And you tune into a certain channel. You change it to your favorite programming, right? And you watch the news or whatever you're watching. So everybody that's on that same channel as you is now channeling the same energy. And you're able to go and communicate with these people and be on the same frequency as them, right? So what is frequency? Frequency is merely the consistent act of certain actions or events over a period of time, right? It's an oscillating wave which indicates certain, images or sounds, and this is how all things are translated, through your eyes and ears into your brain, and then your brain will scramble or descramble this image or these waves and give you a sense of reality and what it is that you're picking up or receiving. So, when you're looking at all these people tuning in to certain things, they're channeling and they become a medium, which is a very interesting word in itself. What does it mean to be a medium? Well, I always like to relate it to an artist uses medium to portray what it is that they wish to express within their mind. So as soon as you become something which is a receptacle or receptive for some sort of information, you yourself become a medium for this information, which means that this information is making a biological imprint on your body. And whether or not you understand it, it still influences your behavior. So by tuning into all these frequencies, by tuning in and channeling different energies, and by becoming a medium, you, in a sense, are acting as some sort of being beyond yourself, almost like the hive mind, right? Where there's a superorganism at play and you didn't even know it. You think you're an individual person, but as soon as you become part of the whole, then you're part of this hive mind. And, I think it's funny that a lot of people really scoff at a lot of these ancient things. They were mediums or they're a channeler. But if you really take the time to really think about what the word actually means and why it might have some relation to this person's profession, maybe a medium or a channeler is equivalent to somebody who's a news and broadcast specialist today. It's all about breaking the borders down between time and between what it is that words meant during that time. For example, if you read through the Bible and things to that extent, you read all about gods, and you read about God and how God is within Christ and all men are gods as said by Christ, but no man is God. How can we really relate this to our daily lives in today's society? Well, what if we change the word God to universe? The universe resides within me as I reside within the universe because I'm a part of it. It's an equilibrium balance. And the universe is representing itself by manifesting spirit throughout all people which come in contact with it, which is all people that ever existed anyways. And, you can pick up on a lot of these things, but you really have to delve into, should I take this literally, or should I try to interpret it and apply it to some standardized way of thinking that is more conforming to today's society rather than, when this book was actually written? And there's a lot of different things in life that play out that way. The gods used to come down and intermingle with mere man, and because man was beautiful. Well, what if we just change that word a little bit to say, wealthy aristocrats that, in a sense, were a subdivided population from the rest of humanity. And they decided to go against the will of the other gods because they thought that certain human beings looked to be pretty in their eyes. But, the term God, in a lot of ways, if we look at ancient history, is actually related to political rulers and leaders of their times, because in a way they were seen as gods among men, because their sight was different than the mere man. They were at the top of the pyramid looking down rather than at the bottom of the pyramid looking up. And it was not only a way for them to retain power and authority and control over citizens within their nation, but a way for them to ascribe divine deity to themselves. And people are much less likely to question divine authority rather than the mere authority of another human being, right? So whenever we come across all this information, we really have to use a lot of critical thinking and try to apply and see beyond the word itself and look for meaning beyond time as well, and possible applications during the time it was written, and possible translations and applications for the time which we're reading it from, so that we can gain a better understanding about what it's really telling us, And it really reminds me of this whole Star Wars tale, right? It's like Yoda and all these master leaders are saying, become one with the Force, Luke. Well, what if we just rearrange the words a little bit to fit our society and say, all is energy. For each action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. And the universe is composed of pure energy and matter. Well, in Star Wars, they talk a lot about midichlorians. Did you know that there is an actuality that those are based off of? It's called mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Utilizing adenosine triphosphate, ATP, to produce energy, which you utilize to accomplish tasks. So in a way, everybody on planet Earth who is a living body utilizes the force ascribed in Star Wars, because all things are done through the mind, which not very many people understand or know. Do you not know that every single action you commute or do or commit to is initially a thought? Whether it be subconscious or conscious, it originates within the mind itself. So, in a sense, whenever you do something, whether it's you're vocally asking somebody to do something for you through some airwaves which you just transmitted, or if you are going to physically move a boulder. It all initially starts with the mind. And what's amazing is your mind is directly linked to the universe itself. So when Yoda and all these people ascribe, I'm going to become one with the Force, they're becoming one with all that is, and in a sense, becoming all that is themselves. The Jedi are merely people who are so in tune with the universe that they are able to share an identity with the universe itself. Think about that for a minute. What if you were so in tune with the universe that you literally shared identity with it? You could literally subconsciously connect your thought and your mind to the fact that you came about through the universe, right? So it sounds a little esoteric, but that doesn't make it any less true. You yourself came about through the universe. You yourself have thought and consciousness. So thought and consciousness are in direct linkage and correlation and relation to the universe. And the universe is merely energy and matter. So, in a way, your thought and your being and your consciousness are directly connected and linked to all time and eternity because the universe itself is eternal. So in a sense, if you think about it that way, you're eternal, just like the universe, because you're composed of universal components which are eternal themselves. The universe is within you, just as you are within the universe. But in a way that no man can represent himself the will of the universe, therefore no man can merely be the universe. But the universe resides within him. But as soon as somebody maintains the power and control over the universe to instill things which are detrimental towards other beings or conscious entities within this universal picture that we call reality, then they should no longer be seen as a figure which should hold this power. So, what does the universe tell us about life? Life is merely an experience. It's an experience of growth, right? Life is growth. So what is growth? If I was born knowing everything, would I experience growth? No, I would not. So life, in a sense, is the mere act of learning. Because if I was so in tune with the universe that I knew everything, then in fact, and in a sense, I would be dead. Because there's no more room for me to grow. So as soon as you become all-knowing, you're all in touch with everything that ever was, which most people ascribe to that being, in a sense, death, right? Just as Yoda says, I will become one with the Force. But then people try to answer the question as, what comes of me beyond my being? Well, what do we identify ourselves as? We identify ourselves as merely a set events that occur which give us memory. Memory is our identity. And without memory, we're nothing. Because what I identify as myself is the set of experiences that I've experienced, giving me a sense of identity within the grand scheme we call the universe. So, without any memory, we're nothing. But with memory of all things, we're nothing as well. Because if I remembered all things, then I would remember the universe, and I would remember everything that the universe contains, which is all things. Then I would become all things and become nothing. That's how intense the universe is. By becoming everything, in a sense, you become nothing. So, what do, all of these things really tell us? It tells us that as soon as we take the time to really think about it, maybe we wished that we wouldn't have really taken the time to think about it. But, we can always just shrug our shoulders and go off and just do everything that we were just going to do anyways and say, whatever. So, I'm going to go play a soccer game right now, and hopefully I can channel my universal powers and use my kinetic energy to kick the ball into the goal. Maybe I'll go sacrifice some sheep so that I can gain favor of a certain god and win this game. I'm going to talk about ritualistic behaviors in an upcoming video and how it actually psychologically influences people in a very interesting way. And I feel like getting into it right now. But, all right, yeah, I'm going to get into it right now. So, prayer, right? So, as soon as somebody prays, it's very interesting. It's an act of submission to something greater than yourself. And in a way, I feel like a lot of religions actually manifest the universal energy that I was talking about earlier into the divine being itself that they worship, which I think ironic because most of the people that actually worship somebody themselves who was kind of against worship, which is kind of ironic. But anyways, I digress. So let's look at a group of people that pray. Just like I was talking to you earlier about programming and television and tuning in and honing in your senses, when a group of people pray, there's one person speaking and everybody else is silent. And they say, all right, well, in the name of something that we all hold to be divine and sacred. So automatically you have a sense of, holiness within the room. And this spirit will overtake the room. And so everybody takes it very seriously. And there's a high level of a hierarchy within highly ritualistic behaviors itself, which can influence people's behaviors. And the prayer itself becomes a fulfilling prophecy. Because all these people in a group are praying for something. And so consciously and subconsciously, whether they know it or not, they actually make the prayer come true themselves. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy as they act as a superorganism in the church, which becomes the living God, because they ascribe the ideals of what God is to their organization, and as their organization actually participates in these ideals as a superorganism, then in a sense it becomes a living thing. And that's when, you really actually think, okay, maybe the Bible actually does have a lot more to it than what a lot of people really ascribe to it. One of my favorite authors is St. Augustine. And he talks about how the Bible is highly metaphorical, highly symbolical, and full of analogies. Literally everything has to be taken loosely and some things literally. You never know what's going to be brought about that you should take one way or take another way. When you read about worship the living God, it means worship organizations which become living entities themselves, greater than yourself, which accomplishes the ideals which God would hold in high esteem in terms of ethical and moral behavior upon the face of the planet. So these people, in a sense, are worshiping something, but they're becoming what they're worshiping. And by becoming what they're worshiping, they're becoming a superorganism or an organization which accomplishes what they believe to be the will or the divine duty of that which they worship. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that all worshiping class sects or religions actually have high moral or ethical behavior. And in fact, a lot of superorganisms or organizations themselves contain and perform in a lot of negative ways upon the face of society and the planet. Becoming themselves Satan, right? Well, what is Satan? If you actually really look up the definition of what Satan is, it really just means adversary. And so when you hear Christ say, Satan depart hence, what he's saying is, I can get through this trial. He's saying, it's like that little train that was going up the mountain, and he says, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. The mountain itself is Satan, through direct translation from Hebrew. It just means adversary. So anything which is opposition to your goals is merely Satan. So how do people become angels and demons, right? Well, as soon as we ascribe the definition of what an angel is, somebody can idealistically become the manifestation of this thought. And whatever an angel is, a demon is not. So in the creation of an angel, we create demons. So it's just like the thought of, how was hell created? Well, hell itself is created through the creation of heaven. Once an ideal of heaven is actually created within the thought, then it follows that the idea of hell is just around the corner, because hell is whatever heaven isn't. So in that sense, as soon as we ascribe angelic qualities to a personage or personage, then in response, we have to ascribe demonic personalities or characteristics to individuals. And so we have this whole game upon the face of the planet where people are manifesting, programming, tuning in, resonating. They're acting as superorganisms, and these superorganisms have wills. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Manifesting into, stories of old. And religion itself is something that I think a lot of people confuse, because as soon as you perform something religiously, then it's religion. Religion doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be spirituality or some sense of a divine being above yourself. No. It just means you do something consistently. The scientific method is a form of religion because it's action that is performed over, a set period of time given strict doctrine or rules. So anybody that's a scientist is religious. Their religion is science. We can talk about secularism, but even secularism becomes religious because if somebody's performing their duties in a religious manner, they're religious. Life itself is amazing, and I'm getting a phone call right now, so I'm going to go, but I hope you all enjoy my little spiel, and have a great day. So what do I mean by tune in? Is it like this tuning fork where you have it in a certain configuration and its configuration allows it to emanate a specific frequency so that it can resonate at this frequency? Or do I mean like this tuning knob on a radio where you can tune it into a certain frequency so it can receive and then retransmit information which you can then receive? Or is it like this ancient oracle, a medium of Greek mythology and actuality, in fact, where both Romans and Greeks would travel to distant regions of lands to speak with the oracle or the medium? Well, how is it that you become a medium? Simple. You merely observe and listen through your eyes and through your ears, and you pay attention to your senses. The 5 senses you were taught as a child. That's how you become a medium. You become a medium for things. And then as a medium, you can either retransmit information. You can tune into certain frequencies and channels that you desire, and then you yourself can become a channeler. It's actually very practical and not esoteric or metaphysical at all. In reality, all it takes is you picking up the remote and changing the channel to that which you would like to watch. So, in essence, you're a channeler and a medium as soon as you pick up the remote and tune in to the energy which you would like to receive. And then you can retransmit this, you can amplify it, but as you do so, be aware of your intent, because people are always aware of what intent you are actually transmitting. And if your intent is something other than that which you're speaking, it's usually pretty easy to gauge whether or not you have true intentions. So you can also tune into other things. It doesn't necessarily have to be an electromagnetic frequency. You can tune into a certain genre of book, which emanates an aura or a feeling that you wish to feel, which in a sense is still tuning into an electromagnetic frequency, because what you are seeing is actually the light reflecting off of the book, which in essence is an electromagnetic wave originating at the light source, but I digress. So you yourself are a channeler and a medium. Now, given this fact, what is it again that you would like to channel? What is it again that you would like to be a medium of? Meaning that, what would you like to receive? And then what would you like to retransmit? I spoke earlier of the hive mind. What does that really mean to be a part of the hive mind? So it has to do with an organization, where everybody within the organization itself is tuned into the same frequency. And if they're all informed and on the same page, then they can act as one group, just like your cells within your body becoming tissues. The tissue is composed of cells that communicate so they can be one. Just like the city, a city operates and functions under the same principles, where it's one mass conglomeration of communication and information. Information gets passed from one designated zone to the next. And as information is passed and people become informed, they can act as one thing, towards one goal and one end. So in a sense, people that tune into the same frequency and channel can then act and be a part of one thing, like a hive mind. So how is it then that you can tune into the universe like a Jedi? I mean, Jedis can move things with their minds, can they not? All they have to do is put their hand out and squint really hard and think about what they want to get done, and it happens. It actually occurs in reality. But in actuality, it's a lot more difficult than that, and actually requires a lot more mind power if you really think about it. But in no way is it any less mental to actually accomplish any task over the material world in reality. So it all starts right here with your noggin and thought. Thought is the most powerful thing that you have been given. It is with thought that you can organize and control ideas. And with ideas, you can do amazing things. No, it's not as simple as merely looking at something and using your brain waves, which you emit, to actually accomplish a task. It's a little more step-worthy than that. But there are many different pathways for things of the mind to become manifest in actual reality. But it's through action. Action is what manifests thoughts of the mind. And if you act on thoughts which are well organized and well planned out, then you can in fact move mountains and be an actual Jedi mind master. But I'm sorry, folks, it's not nearly as simple as, just pointing with your eyes and looking and moving the mountain. But it is due to thought that you're able to move the mountain. But much more precise and keen wisdom and intellect is actually used to alter the material world rather than merely giving it a sadistic looking, scrunched face. The secret really isn't a secret. It's really been reorganized so that it's mystical and esoteric in meaning, which is as old as time in its utilization to merely represent an old idea in a new way so that it can be marketed and be sold as something new, when in actuality it's something very old and practical. I mean, the secret is a way to channel energy and thoughts and ideas so that it becomes your reality. Well, it's really not that hard to practically and rationally think about how, having a vision board in your room with ideas on it that you would like to be a reality for you someday will motivate you psychologically to achieve those goals which you wish to accomplish. So in essence, you are attracting the energy and the vibrations that will resonate with these goals and ideas, and it's by placing yourself around people that have those same goals and ideas, which would allow you to become a more successful individual. So, it's not necessarily like there's this flow of energy traveling through time and space, which you align yourself with. And as you align yourself with it, you come in contact and you resonate with this frequency, and then you amplify it, and then it becomes more part of your life and allows you to achieve those goals and dreams which you desire. But the fact of the matter is that it actually is like that.